now.
Mm-hmm.
My full name?
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Louise Raper Bowen. My birthday, November 9th, 1926. Paden City, West Virginia. At home. The doctor come to the house. I don't know where they got the name Pearl or Louise either. I don't know. My father's name was Fred Martin Raper. My mother's name was Addie Susan Williamson Raper. I was the oldest of 4 children. Fred Martin Raper Jr., Lenora Jean Raper Shriver Henderson. Youngest sister was Evelyn May Raper Hissam. My mother was born in Bel Air, Ohio. And my dad was born at Fly. We just went to school and done the regular things growing up. Paden City was a small town. There wasn't anything to do. You made up games to play. In the wintertime, you pop popcorn, play dominoes. Yeah, we always had something for Christmas. Always a Christmas tree. Not decorated like they are now, but Christmas tree. And yeah, we always had at least one gift. And then you usually got some, clothes, socks, or shoes if you needed the shoes. Or usually the girls would only seem like it was always a doll for Christmas. And Bud was a little truck or BB gun or oranges in your stocking. Nuts, English walnuts in your stocking. Yeah, we hung up stockings too. And they were stockings. Stockings. Not Christmas.
Like old socks, you mean?
Yes, just old socks. Yes. In the 3rd grade is when I had that pneumonia. I was in the hospital quite a long while. They took out a rib then and drained the lungs and all that. Paden City only had 2 years of high school. Then you had to go to New Martinsville. And you had to go on the bus. I was 16 by then, and I could go to work. So went through the 10th grade. First job was at the Paden City glass factory. My main job was what they called in the etching room. Put like a decal on the different pieces of glassware, and then there was vats of melted wax, and it was hot. And you took a brush, and you painted all around the glassware that they dipped it in acid, and that's what made the design. Get a nickel or a dime. We saved it up until we got enough to go to the movies. Helen, or Toots, we always called her Toots, and she still gets Toots. She lived up on the hill just a little bit from us, and we'd get, "What are you gonna wear tonight?"
Out the window.
That was our telephone.
Yeah.
Well, Grandpa worked with a man at the Wismac glass factory. He kept telling Grandpa, "Why don't you ask her out? Why don't you ask her for a date? Ask her for a date." So he kept after him for a while. Another friend of mine was Mary Sarver. We were walking home from the movie one night, and he pulled up in the car. I knew who he was. Of course, he knew me. He asked me to go to the movies with him. So that was our first date. I wanted to wait just a little bit longer to try to save up a little bit more, but he wanted to get married. So we went to Wheeling to buy the ring. It's starting to get a little bit too big for my finger. But we went and bought it together. And then that night at my home, he got down on, I was sitting on the couch, and he got down on his knee. How did I know? I don't know. You just know in your heart, honey. That's all I know. We were married on April 14th, 1951 in Paden City, West Virginia. And we went to the minister's house and married us. Didn't take long to get pregnant. He was working at the Wismac. He worked afternoon turn, and I was working at the glass factory, and I worked day turn. So we was kind of coming and going this way, you know. 2 months later, got pregnant, Susan. And it was winter time, and I didn't get very big for her, but I kept on working as long as I could. And then the glass factory completely closed down. So I could draw unemployment after Susan was born. That's when work then started getting, they would lay off at the Wismac, and it just wasn't very good. So, and she was a year old when we decided, well, Mary and Russ Sarver, good friends of ours, lived here in Canton. And they kept saying, Bob, you could get work at Temkins. So he come up. Next day had a job at Temkins. That was February of 1953. He had rented an apartment for us, upstairs apartment. The kitchen didn't have a sink in it, had to go to the bathroom. We lived there 1 month, and the bedroom suite. I still got the dresser, the chest of drawers in there. And then we moved in an upstairs 3-room apartment and an upstairs. But we had to share the bathroom with the people downstairs. And we lived there 3.5 years, trying to save up a down payment to buy a house. We wanted it so bad. He was an inspector at Temkins. He'd work a while, and then he'd be laid off a while. Well, what little bit of money he had saved up for the down payment for the house, we had to use that to pay rent, make a car payment. And Grandpa thought he'd like to become a welder because he's seen the welders. That was a pretty good job at Temkins then. So he went to night school and become a welder. And after that, he was never laid off at Temkins anymore. I worked at the glass factory for 9 years. Then, of course, after I got married and had a baby, I didn't work. And then just worked some in the cafeteria at school. Grandpa never wanted me to work outside the home. And I think I would have gotten a job anyhow. I worked to make a little extra money. It helps a lot in retirement, later years. I wished I would have done that. Christmas holidays were always fun times. Done the traditional things, hide the gifts.
Cookies, a lot of cookies.
I'll bake the cookies.
What trips or vacations do you remember taking in your life?
Seen all the Civil War battlefields in the United States, I think. Grandpa loved Civil War stuff, but the most memorable was a trip. It's when we went to the Holy Lands, when we went overseas and got to go to the Holy Lands. I didn't want to go, to start with. Grandpa, he kept wanting to go. With a group from church. So I give in, we went, and now I'm glad we did. When you're reading the Bible and your Bible stories, and then it really comes to life then. Another trip, though, too, we took was out west with Aunt Lenora and Uncle Carl. They had a van, and we had a van. I had not been out west. Grandpa had, but I had not been. And so it was in the summer. We could take the seat out of the van, make a bed, had her clothes. Lenora took, like the coffee pot, and I'd take the toaster, and somebody had the electric skillet. It was a campground. We could stay for, I think it was $1 or $2 a night. We'd sleep in our van and cook our supper. We took the southern route out, went clear to California, and the northern route coming back home. We were gone 5.5 weeks. Went up on Pikes Peak and to Colorado. Oh, we just seen so much. Nobody got sick, no car trouble, no flat tires. It was a wonderful trip. The proudest moment of my life. Seen my 2 daughters get married and walked your mom down the aisle. I got to walk down the aisle with her. That was proud.
What's your favorite color?
Probably green. I like green and yellow, but maybe green. My favorite food? You'll laugh at me. Potatoes is my favorite food. Any kind. I just love potatoes anyway. One piece of advice to the world. Just live every moment, every day to the fullest. Make the most of every day. Make it count. Make somebody smile or somebody happy.
What are your hopes for your children and your grandchildren, and now your great grandchildren?
One of my hopes,
Mm-hmm.
they'll always be happy and always love the Lord.
Do you have any questions you want to ask, Mom?
Now, if Andy were here, he'd say, "Who's your favorite grandson?"
He'd tell me that. That's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough.
Thanks, Grandma.
Oh my golly, Grandma's gonna be in the movies.